laced with a sneering amusement, echoed in the cavernous wood-paneled courtroom. It came from the elevated bench, from Judge Thompson, a man whose tailored robe seemed to add more to his arrogance than his authority. He leaned forward, his chin resting on his steepled fingers, a smug smile. Below him, standing alone at the was Marvin Bowen. At 8, softened by the years, but great, he wore a simple, lightly clean, but had seen better. Short, colorful rack of ribbons, heavy ornate medals that caught the dim. He didn't flinch, he didn't reply. Gnarled with age and scarred with story. Loosely in front of him, his gaze was behind the judge, his pale blue eyes. Question, Mr. Bowen. Judge Thompson, enjoying the attention of the half. This is a courtroom, not a costume. Did you pick them up at a surplus store? Frantic chuckles rippled from the prosecutor's tender, a young woman named Sarah. Your Honor, the decorations of my client. Traffic citation. The judge. He had found his entertainment for the. It speaks to character. Including presenting oneself in a fraud. Approach the bench, Mr. Bowen. Let. Marvin moved with a slow, deliberate economy. There was no defiance in his steps, only agitate the judge even more. A burly man who had the decency to. Marvin carefully unpinned the entire. The bailiff passed it up to the judge. Decorations in his palm as if weighing polished metal, his expression one of a Navy cross. Heart with, what is this? My, you were quite the. Jenkins spoke up again, her voice tight. We are here because Mr. is in a no-standing zone on Memorial Day. At the Waterfront War Memorial. Law is the law, counsel, the judge. Eyes never leaving Marvin. He dang. And the Stolen Valor Act is also like this all the time. Old-timer. A little unearned respect. Them out of a parking ticket. Marvin. His calm was a fortress, and the shattering against its walls. Thick with a palpable sense of injustice. People in the gallery were no longer intently leaning forward in their seats. Legal proceeding, but a public humiliation. His monologue, relishing the power. Who truly earned these, they don't court, they have a quiet dignity. Lacking, he tapped the a sharp clicking sound that made Sarah. Particular is a high honor, reserved heroism. What extraordinary. Bowen, misjudging a parking finally lowered from the state seal. It came was soft but clear. Vage, I wear them to remember them with. Oh, you served, did you? Where? The mess hall? On. Marvin said, his tone after was a short, ugly bark. So, I am going to order a brief recess. See if there is any record of this illustrious. Warning you, Mr. Bowen, he pointing the medals at him like an accusation. And you are lying to this court. You're. I will hold you in contempt and display. He slammed his gavel down like a whip through the tense silence. Yes, bailiff, escort. And hold on to these, he said. They were trash. The judges over the intricate face of the Navy cross. Old metal pressed into his skin. The room seemed to dissolve. It was a screaming symphony of fuel and burning metal was filled. The solid steel east. Flames, hundreds of in their path. A younger Marvin, sweat, was half carrying, half dragging. The heat was unbearable. The deck threatened to give way. Fighting for their lives against an into a floating hell. He pushed the firefighters before turning back. The wall of fire for the next soul to pull. The weight of responsibility was heavy. Quickly as it came, leaving only the and the judge's dismissive sneer. Small windowless witness room adjacent to. But the door clicked shut. Her I am so sorry. I've never seen a judge behave that way. Down in one of the hard plastic chairs. He looked tired. The fire something from him, leaving behind. All right, son, he said. Man who has only ever read the rules. Sarah paced the small room, her mind biased. He was on a crusade. He felt a surge of helpless anger. Years out of law school with no in her client. There has to be. Rifling through the thin manila fold entire case file. The copy of his driver's license, her. Then she saw it, on the the section for emergency She had almost dismissed it at the time. Only call if it's a real storm. And Sarah had assumed it. The name was Bill Hayes, with a Washington, D.C. area code. This felt like a real whim. She pulled out her cell phone. Gave me a name when we first met. To call him in an emergency. Marvin looked up, a flicker. For the first time he seemed hesitant. I wouldn't want to bother him, with all contempt charges and a judge who thinks. Her thumb hovering over the call button. Somebody. She pressed the button. His professional voice answered. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Hello, my name is Sarah Jenkins. The city courthouse. I'm calling on behalf. The Admiral's schedule is. If you'd like to submit a request in. His tone bored and dismissive. He. And Sarah insisted, her voice. A client is. She could hear the aide about to. She said the one thing she could think of. Took his medals. He took his name. Silence on the other end of the line. The aide's voice, when it returned, was sharp, cold, and utterly focused. Bowen, Marvin Bowen. City Courthouse, 3rd Street. Right where you are. Do not let Miss. The line went dead. Sarah. Just done. Inside a young Navy lieutenant commander down, his face pale. Flags and plaques and burst in. Admiral Bill 70s with a face like a sea chart of a lifelong commander, looked briefing. He didn't appreciate. Commander, sir, I just City Courthouse. She's with a man. The judge is accusing him of stolen. Admiral sighed, annoyed. To my office, why? There's a Sir, the commander. Man's name is Marvin Bowen. Hands went utterly still. The name hung in the air instantly. Room. It was a name spoken of the Navy, a name that Marvin Bowen? The Admiral repeated. Our Marvin Bowen? You... A dark flush rose up Admiral back harshly. The annoyance was gone. Old controlled fury that was far more now, and get me an honor detail. The courthouse 10 minutes ago. And the absolute fool. It's a low growl. He has no idea. In courtroom 4B. A look of vindicated triumph on his sheet of paper in his hand. Back in here, Marvin and Sarah. The judge let the silence. Well, Mr. Bowen, he... I have had my clerk run your database available, and Bowen ever being awarded a Navy Cross, standard enlistment, and an honorable assessment was correct. He leaned. Mug righteousness, you are a fraud. Not have frauds in my courtroom. And furthermore, I am holding you in contempt. 48 hours in the county jail. Perhaps that will teach you that honor is something to your chest. He raised his gavel. Act of his petty tyranny. This man in his place. Just the grand double doors at the back startled everyone. The first, a rhythmic unified click floor. It was a sound of purpose. Came the sight. 4 immaculate dress blues marched into the courtroom. Their faces set and to their dark uniforms. Into pairs, taking up position side of the doors, their posture behind their backs. They were a silent testament to order and discipline. Older man in the decorated uniform of strode into the room, whose presence gold on his uniform seemed to soak up. Chest told a story of a lifetime. He ignored the sputtering judge in the room for a moment before they locked up. Judge Thompson, his face a voice. What is the meaning of this session? You can't just, his word. The Admiral had begun to walk. Steps measured and powerful. He didn't look at the stunned gallery. Being was directed at the frail old man. Precisely 3 paces from Marvin. Hayes brought his hand up in a salute. Movement of razor-sharp precision. With an audible snap, it was a typical respect. Master Chief boomed, a commander's voice. It was a voice accustomed to being open and in the halls of power. Marvin, for the first time, even taller, a faint, slight respectful nod. Held his salute for a long moment before turned his gaze, now as cold, upon Judge Thompson. The judge shrank back in his chair, his voice dripping with icy apprehension. He walked toward and held them with a reverence that in your hand the service record of a man. He turned to address the entire court. Marvin Bowen served 30 years in the. He fought in Korea. He served. His public records are sealed, which is why your clerk couldn't find them in a. Because Master Chief Bowen also special warfare community. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. Finished. He held up the medals. Said, his voice resonating with history.